Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is hands down, at least so far, after about 10 to 20 hours into the game, one of the most immersive gaming experiences in the RPG genre I have ever played. You have so much freedom as the main character Henry in this game, directly after the prologue, that you can literally go anywhere and do anything that you want. And everything that you do, down to the smallest details, is reacted upon by the world and by the different NPCs that are living in medieval Bohemia. And the game on top of this is so polished, it's so smooth, it runs so well and looks absolutely beautiful. And even the mechanics, the very unique ones that made Kingdom Come Deliverance, the first game, what it was, were brought over here. And again, polished, refined, and even simplified at times where it makes sense for new and returning players to experience this in the best way possible. This is genuinely the best version of Kingdom Come Deliverance we possibly could have gotten, to the point where I genuinely believe it is establishing Larian as a juggernaut within the RPG genre with the likes of CD Projekt Red and Larian. And as a die-hard RPG fan, this genuinely could be up there as one of my favorite RPGs of all time. But with that being said, this game is definitely not for everybody. But before we get into it, thank you guys so much for over 980 subscribers. If you are new to the channel, you like gaming news, gaming reviews, specifically within the RPG and action adventure type of genres, and you like the video that you see here, please like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Now, let's get into my first impressions review. I do want to break down why this game is not for everybody, because it's definitely not. There are a lot of gamers out there that I think will be bored very fast or just find this game tedious in general, and that's for a number of reasons. And the first reason is honestly because of how immersive the game is. They don't take any shortcuts here. For example, when you are crafting in this game and you're doing alchemy, you can't just go to a crafting bench and make a potion, for example. You have to make sure you're harvesting all of the different ingredients, going to the crafting bench, pulling out those ingredients, and putting them up on the shelf. Once you put them on the shelf, you have to turn and go to a different recipe book, read all of the recipes, and read all of the specific ingredients you're going to need for those recipes. Then you're going to have to go to the cauldron. You're going to have to pick between multiple different bases, like wine or water, for example. Then you're going to have to put that in the cauldron. Then you're going to have to put whatever ingredients that you want in the cauldron. Make sure you're reading the recipe book, because you could really easily mess this up. So, for example, if you're putting chamomile in there, you put chamomile in there, and then you have to boil it. You have to specifically boil it yourself. You can't just watch it boil. There is options to look over and pull a lever to help the wine boil. And then, on top of that, you have to make sure you're doing it for a specific amount of time using an actual timer. So you flip the timer, and then right when you're done boiling it for that amount of time, then you lift it up. Then you have to put any more ingredients that you need in it, potentially boil it all over again. And if you don't need to do that, then you need to figure out how are you going to put these next ingredients in. If you need to use a mortar, if you need to smash those ingredients down before you put them in the pot, you're going to need to specifically do that as well. And then you're going to put that into the pot, and then you are going to potentially have to do more with this before you actually pour it into a potion. For the one I'm specifically talking about, I am actually talking about the chamomile potion. So all you're going to have to do there is finally pour it in, and you're still going to have to do this yourself. And then you finally have one potion. Now, is that way OD? Absolutely. But as someone who loves to be immersed in a world and an experience in the way that they actually did things back then, it is absolutely incredible. The attention to detail here is insane. But a lot of players, granted, a lot of younger players specifically, do not have the patience for that and don't want to be immersed, in my opinion, to that extent. They just want to go to a crafting table, make their potion, and continue on with their journey. Even talking to an NPC, there are so many dialogue options here where you're learning lore about the world, you're learning about that character, you're learning about the current events and what's going on and what everybody in the specific town or that region is talking about. And they're also going to potentially give you new quests or ways to go next for yourself and your character in terms of the quests that you're already on. And this can be really overwhelming and just drag for a lot of players that I feel like don't like to sit there and just talk to NPCs NPCs. But again, if you want to be immersed into the world, if you want to have all of these characters that you can really learn about and figure out how to love these characters or hate these characters, it is absolutely incredible. And again, it's not for everybody, but for the people that it is for, it's absolutely groundbreaking. Lastly, even down to the combat, if you like action combat, if you like fast-paced combat, again, this is not the game for you. You have to strike in a different direction that they're not blocking in. You have to make sure you're continuously parrying and striking back. You can't do combos of 12 different attacks in a row because your stamina goes so damn fast. Hell, you're gonna have to go through a lot just to get your first set of armor in this game. So a lot of people, that just doesn't fit the type of game that they like to play, and that's okay. Because if you're somebody who really does like to be immersed into a world, this is the RPG for you. It does an RPG the way I personally think RPGs need to be played. It's the true essence of a role-playing experience. Now, that's why I don't think this game is going to be for every type of player, and again, that's okay. But now I want to break down what I experienced in my first 20 or so hours playing this game, and the first thing, obviously, that everybody's going to experience is the prologue, and I think they do an incredible job here with the introduction into this game. Now, I will say the prologue here is very long, but I think it is for good reason, because they teach you a lot of what you need to know in terms of the game mechanics that you're going to be using when you actually go out into the open world and experience the game for yourself. On top of this, in a very interesting way, the prologue really explains the events of the first game and gives a lot of different flashbacks to the events of the first game, to the point where you can really easily not only get caught up with kind of the major events from the first game, but also some of the characters and the specific moments that you had in the first game, which obviously new players will appreciate, but returning players will absolutely love some of these callbacks. Without going through exactly what happens here, it also teaches you a lot of the different mechanics you need to know in terms of the stealth mechanics, in terms of even gambling and playing dice, in terms of your dog and how to do the different commands there, in terms of all of the different persuasion options and building up your stats within talking to different characters. It even teaches you combat, both ranged and up-close combat, directly here at the start of the game in a very small segment, as well in an actual training segment. On top of this, it teaches you some basics of crafting, specifically with the alchemy and the save potion, which granted is probably the worst thing about this entire game. I wish you could just normally save, but it is what it is. And overall, I just think the prologue experience is extremely solid because of all of these things. They do it in a very intricate way, and when you play this game, I think you'll definitely enjoy it. If you're a returning player, I think you'll like it even more than if you're a new player and really don't understand a lot of the callbacks, but at least you're getting caught up in the story, not in a way where it's just immediately going back and showing you what happened in the first game. They do it and weave it in a very intricate way. Now, going off of the prologue, I do quickly just want to talk about the combat as well as the crafting here. I know I kind of talked about a little bit in why players might not all like this game, but the combat I think is very good, again, if you're someone who likes a more realistic form of combat. Now, in the first game, it was definitely hard to fight multiple enemies at a time because of how some of the NPCs acted. It also had more areas for you to strike in, specifically with a sword, for example, and that's a little bit simplified as well as made a lot better here. In this game, fighting multiple enemies at a time I think is genuinely way better. You're not having 5 different enemies come and just beat you down at one time. You're kind of able to pick off one at a time here when using all of your different skills that you have as a character, striking in different directions, trying to take somebody out by dodging behind them and hitting them, or for example, breaking their shield and hitting their different weak points where they're not currently blocking in, and all of that feels really good when you don't have all of these different people attacking you at the exact same time. It is a lot better than the first game, at least in that standpoint. You also don't have as many areas to strike in, so the combat in general does feel a little bit simplified and just feels better in general. Now, the ranged combat I think could use a little bit of work. I don't think where I ever think my arrow is going to go, both with a crossbow or a bow, it actually goes. I don't think that makes a ton of sense. However, once you get used to it, you get used to it. It's completely fine. And I like not having that crosshair because, again, it is supposed to be realistic. It's not supposed to be easy to hit somebody with an arrow. arrow. And as you obviously progress down those paths, specifically in the combat, then you're going to obviously get better at that, and once you get used to it, it feels really damn good. Now, moving on to the crafting quickly, it is overwhelming in all of the best and most immersive possible ways. Like I talked about in the prologue, the alchemy has so many different detailed and intricate mechanics just with making a single potion that, again, it can be very overwhelming for a player, but it's so damn immersive, and once you kind of get the hang of it, you really are like, damn, I am an actual alchemist. I know exactly how to make this potion. I know all the different steps and rules and how to go from start to finish without fucking anything up, and it feels really good. I haven't done a lot of the other forms of crafting. I've really been just kind of focusing on the main story in terms of weapons and armor. I haven't done a lot of crafting there either. I've pretty much just stolen it, but it is what it is. In my full review, I'll definitely learn all of the different craftings and see how they are and how they compare to alchemy, but for now, I've only really experienced a lot of alchemy. I can't even imagine how insane some of the other ones are going to be just based on how the alchemy one was. Also, as you fight, as you do alchemy, and honestly, as you do anything really out in this world, you're going to level up those specific skills, and you can use these skills to get different perks. Now, only 20 hours into the game, I haven't gotten a ton of perks myself. However, some of the ones in this game are absolutely awesome, and ones I definitely want to go for. For example, there's a perk that literally as you drink, and I've talked about this in previous videos, but as you have more alcohol in your system or more poison in your system from different things that you can drink as well, you actually gain more vitality and gain more health, and that's one that I love. I just want to go around, be that drunken guy, and just go and beat the hell out of everybody. That sounds super fun to me. Now, there's also a lot of basic ones, like increasing your stamina recovery in combat, which is definitely super important, but there are over 200 perks here, almost 300 perks here, some that are very unique, and I love this because you can really just level up the skills that you really enjoy doing that correlate to the gameplay that, again, you enjoy doing, and then you can obviously get perks within those that are very intricate, very unique, that can really build your character to who you want it to be. Now, moving away from that, I quickly want to just talk about the characters and the dialogue and the narrative in general, because it's absolutely phenomenal. Every single NPC that you talk to, like I mentioned earlier, has so many different dialogue options, and all of these dialogue options break into a ton more dialogue options, and all those dialogue options sometimes even break into more, and the NPCs have so much to say, again, about themselves, about the world, about your quest, about new quest, what's going on currently with current events within your region. There is so much here, and this is definitely why they broke the world record for the longest game script. It is absolutely amazing. But on top of that, it's not cringy. It's not out of the time that they're living in currently. Everything they say makes sense that they'd say it in this world. How they sound makes sense that they would sound like that within medieval Bohemia, and all of that I really appreciate. I think they did a very good historical representation of what that time would actually be like. Now, granted, not all of the animations are absolutely incredible when you're in dialogue. They're also in the background. You can see a lot of crazy shit in the background because you can still see what people are doing in the background when you're talking to somebody, which can get a little awkward at times. However, the voice lines and the delivery here are perfect, and it again immerses you into the world even more. Now, all of this also really helps bolster up the story, and granted, I haven't done too much story. In my first 20 hours directly after the prologue, I've kind of just been fucking around a ton and doing whatever the hell I want. However, where the storyline is going, I think is still very intriguing to me, and in this game, you're still going to have all of those hilarious moments like you're going to have in the first game if you did play it, but also you have some deep and actual serious moments as well here that I think hopefully the characters react to a little bit better in the future. Again, not going to spoil anything, but I do sometimes wish the characters leaned a little bit more into those heavy moments. But just in general, the story, again, is very intriguing. I'm excited to see where it goes, and with so much going on in this game, the story not being something that I don't want to do is very important, because in games like Skyrim, for example, I never really cared about the main story. There was so many more things I wanted to do outside of that, and you still have that here, but you also really care about the main story. And honestly, the reason why I haven't focused on the story, like I said, is because of the amount of freedom that you have in this game. You can do anything, like I have mentioned. Now, what have I been spending my time doing? Well, number one, I've been doing a lot of alchemy, doing a lot of crafting, because I want a lot of save potions. potions, and I hate that mechanic, but it's in the game. So I've crafted a lot of different save potions. I've crafted a lot of different chamomile potions. I don't know why I love the alchemy so much, but it is very immersive, at least to me. I've talked to pretty much every NPC I can possibly talk to. I've learned about the world, and I've gotten a lot of different quests that I can go on that I think are damn awesome. Now, I've also been going around, sneaking around the different armories and stealing armor so I could get my first set. I've been going on hunts and solving riddles to find legendary armor that people think might be real or might not be real. And just in general, I've been going around pissing everybody off, not only from what I did at the end of the prologue, but also what I did directly after. I'm going around trying to haggle with all of the different traders. Now, they start to hate me, and I don't have a lot of money. That's why I'm trying to haggle all the way to the bottom. So then, you know what I do? I go and lockpick different people's chests in their houses when they're not looking. I go and I pickpocket people, and I try to get as much money as possible. And then I go back to that trader. I try to haggle again, to the point where he pretty much doesn't even want to talk to me anymore. Shit, I've just spent some time going around after I stole a horse and just experiencing the whole countryside. It is beautiful. What I love so much about this and why it's so fun is because there's actual reactivity in the world. If you smell bad, they're going to comment on that. You're not going to be able to talk to someone or use your charisma in the way that you want to if you smell like shit or have blood on your body. If you accidentally pull your sword out, you're going to be in trouble. Anywhere you go where you're not supposed to go, you're going to be in trouble. So you have to make sure you're sneaking into there or doing it at night when they're sleeping or something like that. On top of that, if you attack somebody, you beat the hell out of their chickens, they're going to be pissed at you. Some NPCs, when you steal, are going to alert you to the guards. Some don't care as much and just say, hey, if a guard sees you, you're going to be in trouble, so make sure you're being a little bit more conspicuous there. Now, all of this reactivity is beautiful, but if you really get in trouble here and you start losing your reputation, they're going to treat you like you have lost your reputation. You might even be in the middle of the city and made an example out of. You genuinely feel like you're in a living, breathing, open world here, where all of the different NPCs have different personalities. They have different jobs and different roles in their society. They have different levels in the society as well, whether they're a noble or basically a peasant. And all of this combines with them reacting to what you do as the character in the most, again, immersive experience I've almost played in an RPG. And that's why I'm doing so much of that, because it almost feels like its own world that you can just live in and not an actual just game that you're playing at times. Now, if you can't tell, I've really enjoyed my experience with this game. I think Warhorse did a great job bringing everything over from the first game and just making it better. It's what a sequel needs to be, and again, it is definitely the Kingdom Come Deliverance game that they wanted to make probably in the first place, and now that they have all the resources to do so, they absolutely knocked it out of the park here, and I really hope as the game continues, the story continues to be great. There is a lot more side quests that I love doing, and I just can explore this world even more than I already have, and really I hope it ends up being one of my favorite RPGs that I've ever played, because it's definitely on the track to do so as of right now. The RPG genre, in my opinion, desperately needs a new big juggernaut here, especially after the slight downfall of studios like Bethesda and BioWare, who were hoping drop better games in the future, but have definitely kind of let players down recently. And now with Larian and CD Projekt Red, we can look forward to obviously this game and upcoming games from Warhorse Studios, because they know how to do RPGs so damn well. Thank you guys for watching my first impressions video. I would love to hear what you guys think about this game down below. Do you agree with me on a lot of these points? Or are you one of those players that might not enjoy this game for what it is? Let me know down below in the comments. Like this video if you like the video, and subscribe for more content like this. Stay tuned for my full review of this game. It'll probably be coming some point next week, because it's going to take me a long time to fully complete this game. It's a huge experience. But yes, I will be posting a full review, and I appreciate you guys. See you in the next one. Peace.